Hi and welcome everyone. How are we today? I hope everybody is doing well. And today I want to talk about two different situations that kind of are in the same realm. One is the survival and the pay amounts of the regular people out there. And the other is kind of the same, but how the elite even gain more, even though they are the wealthy, off of the little man. They find loopholes in everything and every way so that they can profit off of any situation and definitely off of us. We are going to discuss more of the corruption and the fairness and just how little they actually are doing for the people. And when I mean little, I mean nothing. They make you believe that they're helping or that they want to help, and they do all these little things to make you think that they are doing something to help the people when they're not. They're just doing it to, again, make you think they are. When there's always corruption behind it and misleading information and misleading reasons, and I'm going to say misleading in every way you can look at it. It's a mind game with them to see how much you will take, to see how much you will bend, to see how much you will believe. And these situations we're going to talk about today are going to show you just how misleading they are. And again, mainly that misleading information is to get you to divide. I talk about this over and over again. It's about the division of the people. How can we get these people to look so differently at one another to where they separate from one another so we can gain more power? Can you trust your government? Absolutely not. And let's get into this. Millions of Americans employed at some of the country's largest companies have had to rely on food stamps and Medicaid. With giants like Walmart and McDonald's employing the most workers whose income is subsidized by taxpayers, according to a new study. Well, I don't know about you, but I know I didn't need a new study to tell me that. And again, these are billion-dollar companies. Why is it that they cannot pay their employees a decent salary where they wouldn't have to be subsidized by taxpayers? Also, they will work you 40 hours a week for 3 weeks, and when it hits that month time where they would have to make you full-time, that's when they cut you back so that you can't get full-time. They'll even work you overtime for 3 weeks, but cut you on that fourth week again so that they don't have to pay you as a full-time employee or give you any kind of 401k benefits or stocks in the company or anything else that a full-time employee would get. Days off, paid vacations, etc. It's absolutely ludicrous that these are billion-dollar companies and they get away with paying these workers who work very hard this little bit of pay and have all these loopholes to where they don't have to treat them like actual valued employees. And this is why people don't care to work anymore, because they can't make what they deserve to make. Who made the pay grades? Why is it that harder working people who actually get out there, burn up in the sun or the cold, blistered, hands-on, hard work, or put their lives at risk, on their feet all day, etc., get paid nothing? Basically nothing, It's not even enough to actually pay rent, for a car payment, utilities, child care, which is another thing I'll have to get into later, because child care, you might as well not even work anymore, because the child care is so much more expensive than actually your weekly pay, or anything else that you need to survive. And now look, gas is up there where you might as well take out a second mortgage on your house just to pay your yearly gas, because it's ridiculous. But yet you get paid these pennies to work hard. It's ridiculous. And something needs to be done about this. Things need to change. But again, only we the people can make that happen, because nobody else is going to. Like I've said before, why would they change something where they are winning and they are making all of their money off of us, our hard work, our backs, and keeping us in, I would say, the poverty levels with all their corruption and loopholes? Why would they change that when it doesn't benefit them? And they're not trying to benefit us in any way. The report found that in every state studied, Walmart was one of the top 4 employers whose workers relied on food stamps and Medicaid. McDonald's is among the most subsidized employers in at least 9 states. 8,780 McDonald's employees used the SNAP benefit in 9 states. 4,600 workers on the Medicaid benefits in 6 states. More than 4,000 warehouse workers at Amazon depend on food stamps in 9 states. Other corporate giants who have a large number of workers relying on federal benefits included Dollar Tree, Wendy's, Taco Bell, Subway, Uber, Target, Dunkin' Donuts. Again, all these billion-dollar companies that people think, oh, if I get a job with them, I'm going to make decent money. If I stay long with them, I'm going to make really good money. It's all nonsense. You're never going to make money with these companies. And I can honestly tell you from experience, when I was a little bit younger, I always had 2 or 3 jobs. I worked my butt off. And where did it get me? Nowhere, because none of these businesses paid on top of all the other businesses I worked for. 2 or 3 jobs for many years, I should have plenty of money stocked up in the bank, especially throughout my relationships and having another partner. But no, we were always struggling. And sometimes we were on assistance for medical for our kids, or, subsidizing our income for food for our kids. Why? Why should we? When we were working hard. And again, not just one job, several jobs. So I can honestly tell you from experience, this is absolutely true. And it's insane that anybody would think that this situation is okay, that people have to work that many jobs and that many hours to actually even, kind of break even in this world today. Greed has taken control. Evil has taken control. And this is why our world is going to crap. We, the people, need to stand up and take it back and start making things right and even things out for everyone. And then here we go with the divide, as I've said. They get people who make more money to look down on the people who are working very hard. Again, some people work 2 or 3 jobs, but no, because we are on some kind of assistance, we are lower class, we're bums, we're lazy, we're pulling one over on the government. That's not true. And again, I say we because at one point in time, I was one of those people. And I was also working 3 jobs. So you tell me how that works out in your mind. Was it fair? Absolutely not. Was it correct information? Absolutely not. I was a very hard worker, and I ran on no sleep, and I raised 3 children. And again, I wasn't making no money. How does that make any sense? It doesn't. So it's not the people that are lazy. It's not the people's fault that this is happening. This is a government and big tech issue. And it's only getting worse. But I do agree there are some people who sit home and just want to collect. I get that when people are talking about people like that. But then on the other hand, you have mothers who want to work, but there's no point in it because the daycare would cost more than what they would make at a job. So their husband has to work 2 or 3 jobs and they still can't make ends meet. And they still have to get assistance. Why? Again, because nobody is paying what it takes for the survival rates. That is ridiculous. And again, that has to change. Let's move on. Walmart reported more than $5 billion in net income in the last quarter, while McDonald's reported more than $1.7 billion during that time frame. McDonald's spokeswoman Morgan O'Mara argued that the data was misleading. Are you kidding me? Come on. You know, they all say that. Again, the only one misleading anybody is the government and big tech. The company had long opposed increases to the minimum wage, but said last year that it would stop lobbying against such measures. Again, are you freaking kidding me? No, they're not. They're going to continue to fight the rise of minimum wage because, again, that's what works for them. And forget about the people this is hurting. The report shows that 70% of the 21 million food stamps or Medicaid recipients work full time. And again, that is true. And some work 2 jobs with full time. And I am proof of that. And still can't make ends meet. So again, where are we, the people who are working hard and hard jobs, hard labor jobs at that, being paid fairly or treated fairly? This has to be fixed, as I said before. I know my story was from a while back, but I also have family and friends, and I'm not going to violate anybody's privacy, but I have family and friends that I know that are very hardworking people, and they're both working in the family, the mom and the dad, full time, sometimes even 2 jobs, and they still can't make ends meet because the pay does not add up to the value of their work. And they are professionals. They work for high-end companies and they have really good positions. And I'm trying to, you know, get you to see that it's not just like working at Walmart or McDonald's, as you know, these are saying these are even higher end places. And you think they would pay really good, and they don't. They pay the same as if you were flipping burgers at McDonald's. How does that make sense? And please trust me, I'm not being disrespectful in any means. But, you know, McDonald's used to be a place you started off at. And now it's supposed to be like a regular job. Well, if it's supposed to be a regular job for grown-ups too, then it needs to pay the grown-ups what they're worth, especially with the income that they are making. A 2013 study from researchers at the University of California at Berkeley found that 73% of people receiving government benefits were from working families. And again, I went over that in the beginning and a little bit in the middle. and even just now, so we're going to move on. But it is proving my point that I've been trying to make to everybody, and hopefully it'll help more to see the truth. And here's the other half that'll prove my truth. But had jobs that paid wages so low that their paychecks do not guarantee enough income to provide for life's basic necessities. There was the other half of my proof. First, we talk about the jobs and that all these people are working, even two people in these families, but the jobs pay is so little, it doesn't even generate income or enough income to provide for basic family necessities. There is your truth. So these people are not bums, they are not lazy, they don't not want to work. It's just they're tired of not getting paid. And you would be too if you worked your fingers to the bone or your feet to where they hurt and blistered and you didn't get paid for it. The researchers released another report in 2015 showing that more than half of all fast food workers were in families where at least one member relies on public benefits, costing taxpayers more than 150 billion each year. And again, if they were paid a decent amount, this would not happen at all. But again, turn the people on the people. That's the game they play. Remember that, because it leaves them free from all backlash, accountability, or fingers pointing where they belong, and so much more. Walmart's Political Action Committee spent $1.65 million on political donations last year, according to Open Secrets, a program from the Center for Responsive Politics that tracks the influence of money in politics. That says a lot and should answer a lot of questions to the corruption within government and big tech. And all these billion-dollar companies, the wealthy, the rich, the elite, the government, they all stand together. And again, they don't want nothing to change because they're making big money out of all this corruption. And I haven't even started on the next story. You better stick around, and you are not going to be happy because you're going to see just how much these rich and wealthy billionaires really collect off of us little people, and how much they should not be getting that they are. In March 2020, as the first wave of coronavirus infections all but shut down the U.S. economy, Congress passed a $2.2 trillion relief package called the CARES Act. The centerpiece of the law was an emergency payment to over 150 million American households that needed help. Now here's where we're going to get into some more truth that's really going to make you mad. Ira Renner, worth $3.7 billion, according to Forbes, did not appear to need the cash infusion offered by the CARES Act. After all, his 62,000 square foot Hampton home is one of the largest in the country. So he was unlikely to get cabin fever during lockdown, let alone have trouble buying food. Nevertheless, Renier, who made his fortune as a corporate raider in the 80s and 90s, got a $2,400 check from the government. And what did I tell you? They even get money that is not needed and that is not deserved, and yet comes out of our pockets once again and goes into billionaire pockets. Now we're going to talk about one of the biggest and most corrupt criminals there are, George Soros. The prominent hedge fund manager and philanthropist who's worth $8.6 billion didn't need the CARES cash either. Neither did his son Robert, himself worth hundreds of millions. But yet again, these people collect money that they don't need and damn sure don't deserve. And yet, nothing is done, nothing is said, and what, nobody's mad? Are you kidding me? Again, this is corruption that shouldn't be happening, and it has to come to an end. We, the people, need to stand up and make sure it comes to an end. Enough is enough. ProPublica, using its trove of IRS records, identified at least 18 billionaires who received stimulus payments, which were funded by U.S. taxpayers in the spring of 2020. Hundreds of other ultra-wealthy taxpayers also got checks. Please tell me why it wasn't needed. They weren't going to hurt without it. And this was specifically for people in need. Why were they given money that they did not meet the requirements for? Because of the loopholes that they make so they can. Which again has to be fixed and stopped. And what angers me even more is that through this whole shutdown and people, normal people, losing everything, these people not only got stimulus checks that were not needed, but they became richer through the corruption and their corrupt ways that they make so that they can be corrupt. And people need to wake up, face it, see it, and realize it's time to stop it. The wealthy taxpayers who received the stimulus check got them because they came in under the government's income threshold. In fact, they reported way less taxable income than that. And how is that when you're a billionaire? Come on, people. The things that they do, we would go to jail for. This is nothing but major corruption that has to go. Even hundreds of millions less, after they used business write-offs to wipe out their gains. And there's the illegal corruption. Are you fuming yet? Because you should be. ProPublica found 270 taxpayers who collectively disclosed $5.7 billion in income, according to their previous tax returns, but who were able to deploy deductions at such a massive scale that they qualified for the stimulus checks. Again, you have to be kidding me. Corruption. The corruption. It's got to stop. This is insanity. With that kind of income, I don't care what your write-offs were, illegally, corruptedly, it doesn't matter. You should not be collecting a stimulus check, period. Consider two stimulus recipients with similar huge incomes in 2018. Timothy Headington is an oil mogul real estate developer, is worth $1.4 billion. He had $62 million in income in 2018, but after $342 million in write-offs, his financial result was negative $280 million. Again, the corruption. The same was true of Renard, whose $64 million in income that year was erased by $355 million in deductions, for a final total of negative $291 million. I just can't say it enough. The corruption has got to stop, and these little twists and loops and illegal ways that they find to make these loopholes for themselves but not for regular people has got to stop. And the fact that they get away with it and have no accountability, that has definitely got to stop. These people need to be charged and put in prison. Period. As ProPublica reported earlier this year, the wealthiest taxpayers often have great flexibility in when and how they take taxable income. Do you get it yet? Do you see it yet? That the way they can do things and the way we can do things are totally different. We are on different levels in their eyes. And they're allowed to do illegal things and break the law and make loopholes and side bets and whatever they want to and play in the market behind the scenes. But we, the people, would go to prison for a very long time for everything that they do. There are two different levels here. And again, that needs to be fixed. And the people are the only ones that have the power to stop this. It is time to level the playing field. Allowing them to pay a minuscule portion of their wealth growth in taxes, the ultra wealthy have other tax advantages. Many can tap a particularly generous vein of deductions businesses they own. These can wipe out all of their income, even for years to come, unlike other deductions like those for charitable giving. Certain industries like real estate or oil and gas are a well-known source of tax benefits that can generate paper losses even for a successful business. Billionaires often reap sizable tax deductions from owning sports teams. As a ProPublica story this year detailed, a number of sports team owners were among the recipients of stimulus payments. Prince Pegula, who is worth $5.7 billion and owns both the NFL Buffalo Bills and the NHL's Buffalo Sabres, was one. Also getting a check was Glenn Taylor, worth $2.8 billion, who earlier this year struck a deal to sell Minnesota's NBA and WNBA teams for $1.5 billion. Pegula and Taylor did not respond to requests for comments. Of course they didn't. They never do when they know they've done something corrupt. Some taxpayers had enough in deductions to wipe out even hundreds of millions in income. Robert Dart is a scion of the Dart family, which owns Dart Container Corp., the maker of the iconic red Solo cup. In 2018, he reported income exceeding $300 million. But deductions left him with a final result of negative $39 million. Dart and his brother renounced their U.S. citizenship decades ago to take advantage of a then exiting tax break available for expatriates. Dart filed his U.S. tax return from an address in the Cayman Islands, but got a stimulus payment just the same. Are you freaking kidding me? So I guess you don't even have to be a U.S. citizen to get our tax money. We're giving them away to these guys. We're giving them away to the ones coming across the border. Just give all our money away. Again, when are you people going to be mad? When are you people going to see the truth? And I'm talking to you that don't. When are you going to show some kind of sense and see what's really going on and get mad and want to take back what is yours instead of giving everything of ours away and paying the price for all the corruption that has been put into place and having nothing due to it? I mean, come on, people, it's time. And of course, the crooked fake IRS declined to comment. The group of rich billionaires who run everything and con everybody out of their money. Wake up, people. The IRS has to go too. It's illegal and unconstitutional. Do your research. For former Lehman Brothers CEO Richard Feud, a big salary was a key part of the $400 million he earned in the 5 years before the firm's historical collapse. But in recent years, he's been running a company called Matrix Investment Partners that he set up to invest his own money. The tax losses generated by the company were one reason he got a stimulus check. Reached by phone and asked whether he wanted to comment, Feud said, "I'm not interested, thank you." Again, of course, who is going to comment when they know they're doing crooked and corrupt and illegal things that other people would be in jail for? Another CARES Act beneficiary was Eric Prince, who before deductions had $5.3 million in income in 2018. Prince founded Blackwater, and we've heard a lot about that corrupt company, haven't we? He has denounced excess government spending, saying we are being bled dry by debt. Prince didn't respond to a request for comment. Again, of course not. What is he going to comment? That him being bled dry is an absolute lie? Because he's probably still living in a billion-dollar mansion and has very expensive vehicles and flying in private jets and whatever else they do. Come on. We all know it's BS. And again, people need to wake up. This has to stop. A private military company that received hundreds of millions in government contracts. A proposal in the Democrats' once $3.5 trillion, now under $2 trillion, Build Back Better legislation. Build Back Better, currently the subject of fevered negotiations, would theoretically curb the ability of wealthy taxpayers to report negative incomes. Somehow I just don't believe that and don't trust the government and anything they say anymore because it's all BS. The idea, which builds on a provision of the 2017 Trump tax bill, is one of the few tax provisions to have survived the recent negotiations, at least for now. However, Democrats are currently considering including a tax break for the wealthy in the reconciliation bill. Of course they are. Again, they've always worked hand in hand, and they always will work hand in hand. And even Biden said, we need a Republican side, when supposedly he could have crushed them at that time, and vice versa. They will always play hand in hand with one another, and they're all corrupt. That's why the government has to go. Democratic negotiations are working on a repeal of the SALT deduction cap for up to 5 years, which would cost $475 billion and give the richest 5% $400 billion in tax cuts. Bernie Sanders said in a scathing statement on Tuesday, "This is beyond unacceptable." I agree. So tell me what you think in the comments below, and I will definitely answer you back if you leave a comment or a question. I'm wondering what the rest of you are all feeling and thinking about all of this and the corruption. And do you trust your government? I believe the government has to go. That's my opinion. I believe they're too corrupt to turn anything around. We need to rebuild in a new way. Thank you all for watching. I love and appreciate every one of you. If you haven't, please subscribe, like the videos, and please share them so that we can inform everyone of what is really going on and what the truth is and what we need to be doing to change and fix these issues. Thank you. Have a great